All right, good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. And thank you for joining. I want to be sure you can hear me clearly, please. So today we'll be talking about, okay, great.
Yes,
today we'll be talking about plagiarism in scientific writing, and we'll look at the detection, the avoidance of plagiarism, and how to use Turnitin effectively. I'm Fortune Fiong, and I'm currently working as a National Secretary of Author in Nigeria. Okay, what will be covered in this webinar? I'll look at what is plagiarism, types of plagiarism, why researchers plagiarize, consequences, how to avoid plagiarism, software used to detect plagiarism. We'll look at Turnitin and how to run a Turnitin scan and how to interpret a Turnitin report. Okay, disclaimer. This lecture notes is a mix of the presenter's scholarly and original research experiences. This means that while most of the contents are the experiences and original contributions of the presenter, findings and experiences of other researchers have been incorporated. The presenter is not formally affiliated to Turnitin or any other plagiarism detection software developers. Hence, opinions or experiences that will be shared in this presentation does not in any way reflect the opinions of these organizations. And there is no funding in cash or in kind that has been or will be received for this presentation. Okay, thank you all. Before we proceed, kindly, I would request humbly that you present yourself in the chat box, maybe your name and maybe institution or country you're joining us from. So I'm just going to start now. Fortune Fiong from Nigeria. You can equally say Fortune Fiong from University of Calabar. So I'll just wait for 3 before I continue. Mr. Felix from Port Harcourt, and okay, thank you very much. Somto from Ibadan, University of Ibadan, and Diki from University of Port Harcourt. Thank you very much. I think we can now proceed. Okay, let's start off with a quote from one Mr. Fortune Fiong. He says, plagiarism is a lazy man's excuse and a careless man's apology. So what is plagiarism? Now, in this presentation, there will be a little bit of discussion, especially at the beginning of this webinar. You will get to tell me what you think, and others will see what you are saying. So we are going to be using Menti for the discussion. Just there are many ways you can do that. You can scan this barcode, or you can just type menti.com in your menti.com in your browser, and then just input the code that is there. I'm going to post the code in the chat box right now. Just menti.com and then put this code there so that you can participate in the quiz. Right, so I want us to tell me, or I want us to share our experience, or one word for describing plagiarism. If you go to menti.com, you would be able to see the question, and there are 3 options. So you can just give one word for each of the options. I don't know if anybody's trying it already. Please just keep me posted in the chat box. You can scan the barcode, you can use the link, or you can, okay, you said I should put the link in the chat. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay, the link is in the chat box now. Just get yourself ready, because we have 4 or 5 more discussions aside from this one. Okay, so in 2 seconds or 3, I'll be going to menti.com now so that we can see what people are saying. Can we please see the Menti screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So we can see people are saying plagiarism is copy and paste, and I think more people are saying copy and paste. That's why it's the largest. Copying, inaccurate citation, false. Great. We are going to clarify this. Somebody said falsification. It's not the same thing, and we are going to clarify that. Copying, fabrication. So we just wait for 2 more seconds before we continue. All right. Thank you very much for your suggestions. Let us look at what plagiarism is. Different school of thoughts are defined plagiarism, and we are going to take 2 of them. The US Office of Research Integrity says it involves stealing someone else's work and lying about it afterward. Longman English Dictionary says is when someone uses another person's words, ideas, and pretends that they are their own. So there are other definitions. But essentially, whatever the school of thought may be, the basic idea seems to be that someone deliberately takes someone else's work, whether an idea, a method, data, result, text, and presents it as their own. So we could see that many persons were like saying that plagiarism is what copy and paste. You're stealing someone's work, and I mean you're lying about it afterwards. So let's look at briefly the types of plagiarism that are the most common types of plagiarism. The first one is direct plagiarism. You're directly taking another person's work as your own without changing anything. So it's really common among students. I mean, students who are not able to meet up with the assignment on time, so they go to Wikipedia or any journal article and directly lift what is in the article and present it as their own, right? Now, paraphrasing without credit is also another type of plagiarism. Fine and good, you have paraphrased. For those that may not really understand what paraphrasing entails, as we proceed, you will appreciate it more. You've paraphrased correctly, but you've not cited. It's plagiarism. Mosaic plagiarism, this is when you have partly paraphrased and you're partly using the original word of the author. So for example, I make a statement and I say, whatever statement I make or whatever statement you read from my article, right? So you paraphrasing part of that statement and then using the other part word for word. It's called mosaic plagiarism, right? Oh, let's look at self-plagiarism. We'll talk a little bit about it later. We'll look at accidental plagiarism. This one, you know, you're supposed to you're supposed to cite or paraphrase, or you know what to do, but it's by mistake, accidentally, you forgot to cite, or you forgot to paraphrase. For misattribution, this is when you attribute information that comes from one source to a different source. Let's say Fortunate Young says mass gatherings are possible hotspots for COVID-19 transmission. And then because you have consulted so many articles and you've read so many papers during the course of your thesis, dissertation, or research article, and you're mixing what Fortune said. Okay, maybe you've read another paper by, is it Ujun Adike, saying a different information, but you were not careful with your note taking. So instead of attributing the statement to Fortune, you mistakenly cite Ujun Adike. It's a form of plagiarism. So let's look a little bit into self-plagiarism, the different forms of self-plagiarism that we have, right? So what is self-plagiarism in the first place? It's essentially acquiring undeserved, underline the word undeserved, scientific credit by presenting one's work previously recognized, one's own previously recognized work as new. By previously recognized, it could be maybe you have published it already, it may be you are presented in a conference and you are presenting it as a new paper. Let's say I've published about COVID-19 transmission in global transmission of COVID-19. I've published a work like that already, and I'm publishing in International Journal of Health and Life Science, and I am publishing the same work in Lancet or Frontiers in Public Health. It's going to appear as 2 publications, and that's self-plagiarism, right? Now, duplicates, I'm already explaining duplicate publication. So when you publish a particular article in 2 places, right? Or maybe you're presenting the same abstract, exact same abstract in 2 scientific conferences. Now, this is very, very common. It's called inappropriate recycling of material, and it's a type of self-plagiarism. Because you have, maybe you're an expert on malaria, and you've written about malaria in Nigeria, and then so many of those things are already in so many of those ideas that you published in 2021, they are in your subconscious mind. So when you're working on a new article, there is this tendency that you tend to repeat some of your findings. Maybe previously you had seen that knowledge of COVID-19 vaccination, right, is correlated with gender, right? That is a finding you got from your previous paper. You can see that, females are more likely to be knowledgeable about COVID-19 vaccine or malaria vaccine, as the case may be. This is already sort of in your conscious mind because you did the work, and it's yours. So when you're writing another article, you tend to repeat some of the findings that you got from, the previous article, and presenting as their new findings or their new arguments or their new topics, right? It's fine for you to, say the things that you said before, but you have to cite them and cite the year or the particular article to show that, okay, look, this is not a new finding. This is something I have done before, right? So it shouldn't be, if you're writing something on malaria this year, maybe you had written about malaria 2 months ago, a few months ago, and 50% of the new article is essentially what you have done before. It's not very correct. So we go on to salami slicing. Let's say you're working on acceptance of COVID-19 vaccine amongst residents in Calabar Municipal. In Calabar Metropolis. And because you know that Calabar Metropolis essentially has 2, or is divided into 2. We have Calabar South and Calabar Municipal, right? Calabar Metropolis, Calabar South, Calabar Municipal. And maybe you got funding to do the work in Calabar Metropolis. But you now divide that publication. It should be presented as 1 publication, but you divide it into 2 publications. You publish separately for Calabar Municipal and separately for Calabar South. When the methods, in fact, the discussion, essentially everything will be the same, except the sample size that you're going to split into 2, and the study population, but every other thing, in fact, it will show in your discussion and almost other aspects of the paper. Some people are even more, I would say, robust, in quotes, and they can split 1 article into 4, 3, and so on and so forth. Okay. Yeah, let's look at other ethical issues, because plagiarism is not the only ethical issue in research. There are other core ethical issues, and like I was saying, somebody said falsification. I was like, okay, we will talk about that. So we have falsification and we have fabrication. So consider these 2 scenarios, and we'll go on to Menti. You tell us which is falsification and which is fabrication, right? All right. Tomorrow is the due date. This is scenario A. Tomorrow is the due date for my project defense. It could be thesis defense. I was unable to do my lab work. It could also be field work, depending on, what you're doing. I'll just make up some values and analyze. How bad can it be? I notice most of my female participants have a higher PCV than the male. PCV essentially pixel volume. is a percentage of red blood cells that a person have compared to O blood. There has to be a problem with my data collection. I will just reduce the PCV value of the female participant to restore normalcy. Now, let me explain this a bit. Usually, PCV is lower in female because of the monthly menstruation. So it's expected that a female PCV value should be lower than a male PCV value. But let's say you are in this strange place. You're in a place, I mean, you've not been there before. I mean, you've not seen their data, how it looks like, you've not studied their population before, and all of a sudden you've seen that female PCV are higher than the male, then I mean, you might question your method. You might want to repeat that research again. So let me not give you more tips. Let's go on to Menti first before we continue with that discussion. I'm just going to post the link. I'm going to post the link, but you can just take the code to Menti and put. So I'm trying to. Just a sec. I'm going to paste. Just okay. Let's go on to Menti. You tell me which one is falsification, right? And then which one is fabrication. So that's the link, that's the barcode, whichever one is comfortable for you. So look at it here. Once again, we'll discuss this at Menti, which is falsification, which is fabrication. So right now I'm going to share the responses that we have so that we can see what people are saying. Okay, awesome. So we can see that I think, sorry, I'm not very good with Menti. I'm trying to see how I can make it full screen, and it's difficult. Many persons are saying that A is fabrication and B is falsification. 39% say A is fabrication. Okay, it's now 40-40, now 41-41. 41 says A is falsification and B is fabrication. So we still have some people who are not getting it correct. The people who say A is fabrication and the people who say B is, the people who say A is falsification and the people who say B is fabrication are not very correct. All right, so if you said that A is falsification, you're wrong. A is fabrication, actually, and B is falsification. Falsification because you're kind of altering what is there, maybe based on your expectations. I mean, research is tell us what you find. So far, your methods are correct. You tell us what you find. It's not what you think, right? Fabrication is maybe you've not been doing anything. You had 6 months for the research. You've not done anything, and it's 1 week. And you're making the entire data from your house instead of your lab or your field, right? So that is fabrication. You're fabricating it. So why do researchers plagiarize? Now, I want you to think about your early days in research, right? And think about your students too. So you're going to share with us why you think that they plagiarize. So this was a research that was conducted, and it was seen that 34% of the study participants plagiarized because of lack of research skills, right? And that lack of research skills essentially paraphrasing and citation. 26% plagiarized because of lack of time. and 22% careless note taking, and the other 18% confusion on how to cite source. We'll talk a little bit about them as we continue. So we'll go to Menti. Once again, you're going to tell me why you plagiarize, or why you had plagiarized when you started your research career, or why your students plagiarize. So you respond with red if it is lack of research skills, respond with red if it's lack of time, blue if it is lack of research skills, and green if it's careless note taking, and is it purple if it is confusion on how to cite sources, right? So let me share Menti link for this, please. Just a sec. Somebody's already responding. Let's do that. Let's do it in Menti so that everybody can participate. Just a sec. I have shared the link now. Sorry, this is the wrong one. Yeah, this is it. It's 7135779. Just go to menti.com and let's start this course. I'll share my screen so that you can see what others are saying. Why do students plagiarize? Let's see what people are saying. Okay, blue. Blue is is apparently the most common reason why people plagiarize. And we have red. We have lack of time, laziness, lack of research skills. Awesome. Tight schedule. Interesting. Green. That green was I think confusion on how to cite sources. Laziness. Blue. Blue is apparently the most common reason why researchers plagiarize, right? So we'll talk about it very soon. Thank you very much. No skills. Thank you very much. So people are saying that the main reason why their students plagiarize, or why they plagiarize when they study their research journey, is lack of research skills. And that is why attending webinars like this is super, super important, right? Others says it's lack of time, right? Some persons say careless note taking. So thank you very much. We'll talk about them later. So what are the consequences of plagiarism? Because to some persons, it might not look like a very big deal. I mean, especially those that have not experienced or seen or read about the consequence of plagiarism. So let us go to Menti and tell me what are the consequences of plagiarism you have experienced, maybe yourself, or you've seen happening in your workplace. Let me share the Menti link, maybe in your institution, or you've read about it. I'm going to share the Menti link now. This is a Menti link. So you share with us what you think is consequences of plagiarism. Just a sec, I'll share with you my screen and then you'd see what others are saying. Awesome. Someone says, slow mental development. Interesting. Lack of trust, loss of integrity as a researcher. Banned. Interesting. Let's wait for 2 or 3 more before we continue. Jail, loss of reputation, integrity, prosecution. That's very interesting. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, consequences of plagiarism essentially depends on institutional policies. It depends on country policies, right? Sometimes gelling, as they have said, it's that serious in some climes, right? If you're an academia and you're submitting for journal publication, of course you know that if you pass the plagiarism benchmark of the journal, the article gets almost dex rejected many times, right? It affects your reputation. Imagine if you're a professor, you're mentoring student, or you are a PhD, you're mentoring student, and then you're plagiarizing. What do you expect of your student? I mean, what would they think of you? It shows weakness, or it shows poor mastery of your research skills. So it's really a dent on your reputation, right? And if you are a student and you're writing, submitting for an MSc assignment or PhD assignment, and you know the consequences, right? Plagiarism will definitely affect your score. And then we have more new related consequences. Somebody have said we should skip the Menti. Don't worry, this is the last one, please. Avoiding plagiarism, right? Can you share with us what do you think we should learn? What should we do to avoid plagiarism? Okay, yes, Menti. Tell us what you think. So we are here, ways to avoid plagiarism. None yet, still waiting for one to drop. Use software to check. Awesome. We'll talk about that. Use software to check your plagiarism level. Paraphrasing skill, citing sources use. Awesome. Thank you. Paraphrasing, citing appropriately. Use software's adequate training. Awesome. Citation. Awesome. So we see many of the answers are centered around paraphrasing and citation. Very interesting. Study hard. Learn to write well and summarize. So awesome. Thank you very much for your suggestions and feedbacks. Yeah, the first thing, I mean, I would want to suggest or recommend is you should be organized and start early because you are a scientist. Doesn't mean that you should always be disorganized. It doesn't mean that you cannot plan your schedule. I often suggest that you break your task, whether it's your thesis or a project or whatever, break it into chunks and try to advance every day of your life towards that project, right? It can be dedicating 15 minutes a day for that project, dedicating 1 hour a day, because if you keep it as for a separate time, that is what always causes the complaint of lack of time. But if you handle it in small chunks, it gets easier and it gets even more interesting and rewarding to tackle. So you can see that many persons say lack of time. It's not really because time wasn't given for the assessment. It is because they didn't treat it with a level of priority that they should have treated it. Record information sources. So when you see many people saying confusion, careless note taking is a reason. You know, many times, I think this happened to me too when I was starting my journey in research. When you get notes from a source, you're supposed to, you know, briefly pen down the source of that information. If you think I'm going to remember, it's just definition of universal health coverage, it's this definition of, it's just this, it's still my table, I would remember. Sometimes it can hit you very badly and it can hit you very badly. And 1 month time, 2 month time, that's an exaggeration anyway. It can hit you badly, and you're looking for that same source. You're spending hours looking for where you got that information from, weeks sometimes. Yeah. So it's important that you record information. So, and if you don't see it, you definitely resort to plagiarism. So The next one is paraphrasing. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Referencing or citation, we'll talk about it. And ask your teacher or librarian, I'm going to attend webinars and training. You have to sharpen up your research skills. There is nobody that is a finished project in research or in anything essentially. Time to time, you have to upgrade and, add more skills, learn more skills. Now, this, I think this little chat or however you call it will be useful. If it is not your words, somebody else's words, you have to quote and cite. If it is your idea, but sorry, if it is not your idea, but somebody else's idea, but your words, you still have to cite. Meaning, if Fortune have said mass gatherings are possible hotspots for COVID-19 spread, that is my idea, that is my finding, right? You can change it to say COVID-19 is transmitted where there is, I don't know, can somebody assist me to paraphrase that? COVID-19 is transmitted where you have mass gatherings, still not very good. So if it's still Fortune's idea, you have to cite even after you paraphrase. But if it is not Fortune's idea, it's not Fortune's words, no need to cite. So let's continue. Let's talk a little bit about citation. Citation is reference, source of information used in your research. It's of two types. We have in-text citation, and then we have end-of-paper citations, sometimes called references, right? In-text is a brief notation within the body of your paper, right? Where you see number one, where you see number two, or where you see the name of somebody and a year in brackets. It refers you to the end-of-paper citation or references section, where you can see all the pertinent information about that article, right? So when do you cite? You cite if you're directly quoting what he said. Maybe he said primary health care is a bedrock for achieving universal health coverage. You're quoting directly what he said, so you have to cite it. And by the way, it's not recommended for you to quote, no matter what. You have to try and paraphrase, unless the power of that statement is in the exact words that are being used. That's when you're permitted to quote, right? For example, if you say knowledge is power, the statement is powerful in the words that are there. And most times you have to use that statement as it is, because if you try to paraphrase that statement, then the statement might lose its strength. So that's the only reason why you should quote. If you're writing a scientific article, you should do more paraphrasing. If you're summarizing what he said, if it's a fact, if it's statistics, WHO said that 50 million people die of malaria every week in Africa. Cite. In 1995, trachoma was eliminated in Togo. That's not correct anyway. Trachoma was eliminated in Togo. You have to cite, right? When not to cite. If it is common knowledge, what is example of common knowledge? Malaria is prevalent in the tropics. For me, it's a common knowledge, and I don't necessarily have to cite that because we know very well malaria is a tropical disease, or tropical countries are hotspots for malaria. When it's a generally acceptable, observable fact, do you need to cite, let's say that that children under 5 are more prone to malaria? I know that is a bit dicey, but you may not necessarily have to cite that, because to many, especially if you're in public health or you're in medicine, it's a generally acceptable fact somehow. Yeah. Original ideas and life experience, right? Maybe I can say, when I was in Lagos, I realized, or I noticed, I found out, I discovered that men were more prone to malaria attack or infection. So you don't cite it, right? It's your experience. How do you create it? Depends on styles. We have APA, Harvard, and Vancouver as the most common referencing style. Now I'm saying this from sorry, I'm saying this from a public health perspective because this is my area of research, global public health, right? It might not be the same for social sciences or humanities, but for us, these are the most common referencing styles. So an example of citation with Vancouver is like this. Mass gatherings are possible hotspot for COVID-19 outbreaks. Now you see number 9. If you go to the referencing section and you move to article 9, you'll see the full information of that article. It has the author's name, Effiong, Ebi, the title of the manuscript, global transmission, that's the name of the journal, International Journal of Health and Life Science, dates and month in which it was published, the volume and issue number. Issue number is in bracket 2 and volume is 7, right? Now, if you can use referencing softwares for citation, why would you need to do citation manually? You have AI tools, and whether you like it or not, AI is really taking the space and it's making academia and essentially many other things more and more easy and more interesting and more effective. We are becoming more accurate, more correct with the aid of AI. Yes, you may argue that it makes us more lazy and so on and so forth. But if you're using referencing software, your reference section is likely to be more accurate than if you're doing it manually. So I have experienced 3 softwares, and I could say 3 of them are awesome, but EndNote is not free. Yeah, but it has a trial version, I think, of 30 days or thereabout. Zotero, awesome. I think it's what I'm currently using. Mendeley is also awesome. So it all depends on personal tests. Now, you can also use databases for citation like PubMed and Google Scholar. I use Google Scholar a lot. In fact, even more than I use Zotero. So I would show us a little about that later. And one good thing about referencing software is that let's assume you submitted an article to a journal, let's say PMC Public Health, and the journal accept article in Vancouver. At some point, the journal rejected the article, right? You have to submit it to another journal, right? Let's say pathogens and global health. And pathogens and global health, for example, say, okay, no, we don't want Vancouver. We accept articles only in Harvard. So do you manually reset the referencing style? You're wasting 2 hours or even more of your time. If you use a referencing software like Zotero or Mendeley, you do that in less than 5 seconds, right? Now, just a simple, sorry, I'm circling the wrong thing. I'm supposed to have circled cite. This is PubMed. So if you click on cite, it will bring out different referencing styles, and then you choose the one that you want. One thing about the database citation, they only do end of paper citation. They don't do in-text, but the referencing softwares will do both in-text and end of paper citation. So the same feature is available on Google Scholar. Just click on cite, right? Where is under this article, and that will do the job for you. So we'll talk about paraphrasing. Right. Oh, somebody's complaining she can't see the screen. Please, I want to be sure that it's not true for everybody. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Oh, thank you. I think it's your network. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. We'll talk about paraphrasing a little. Now, let's look at plagiarism detection softwares. There are many. AI tools are numerous for almost every stage in your research journey. Is it literature review? Is it paraphrase? Whatever, mention anything. AI tools, tons and tons, numerous AI tools have been developed. I mean, there are AI tools that can do literature survey for you. They can get articles for you. For example, you want to work on economic burden of malaria in sub-Saharan Africa. You just type and they bring out the articles for you. You don't need to go to PubMed, Scholar, and then just bring out the articles. So reference softwares are everywhere. Now, the most common referencing softwares for detecting plagiarism are Turnitin, Authenticate, Viper, Helioblast, Grammarly. I've never used Viper and Helioblast, but I have not used Authenticate too. I have Turnitin, and Turnitin is the most robust plagiarism software, arguably the most robust plagiarism software. I don't really need any other one. I used Grammarly when I didn't have a Turnitin account, right? So Turnitin is the most robust, and you see that the Turnitin is mostly used by institutions. Authenticate is equally robust, but because I've not used it before, I cannot say if it is more robust than Turnitin. I cannot give a personal opinion on that. But from popular opinions, Turnitin is the most robust plagiarism software. All right. And I'll show us how to run a scan, how to interpret. It's very easy and it's very interesting. Again, I can assist you in getting a Turnitin software, but disclaimer, I don't work with Turnitin. I am not affiliated with Turnitin in any way. I am an independent researcher, and it is not free. Getting Turnitin is not free. You can kind of have to subscribe for a year, 6 months, depending on what you want, right? So maybe if you are interested in getting yours, I know many people would say, you can download Turnitin. Turnitin is a website. Am I correct to say that? I'm not really a computer guru, so I don't know if I'm correct to say it's a website, but it's essentially a website. If you say turnitin.com, it takes you to the landing page, and you do everything you want to do there, right? So it's not really a software you can download. It's not like Grammarly. You cannot download Turnitin into your laptop or your phone. It's a web page. Web app. Thank you. Web-based software. Thank you. So if you want to get yours, I can assist you in doing that. But I'm saying it's not free, right? And it's important to get it. For me, I find it very useful because it's useful for people who are supervisors or mentors, because it's embarrassing to have your name in a paper and that paper is plagiarized. And sometimes, yes, as a research expert, you can see an article written by this student and you know that there's plagiarism, but how can you truly confirm? And by far, Turnitin is the most robust. Is a sure person. In Nigeria, it's a sure plug. The sure person that can give you that kind of information. And for me, that I usually mentor students and researchers. Most times when they submit the article, I prefer to run a Turnitin scan first before even looking at the article, because if an article is plagiarized, you can't. What do you want to edit? You can't go ahead to do any editing. You have to be sure that similarity is combated, or is that particular problem is solved before you can edit or whatever, do any other thing. So for people who are supervisors or running any research initiatives, for personal use. For personal use, you might not need it if you're an expert, because of course at this stage you know what to do, you know how to cite, you know how to paraphrase effectively. But sometimes you will always need it, because it's how you can submit a paper to a journal and you will show that you did a good job. But the journal is telling you, look, it's 20% plagiarized, 25% plagiarized. You have to work on it again. And you have to confirm with your Turnitin, because if you use Turnitin, Turnitin will show you exactly where it has been plagiarized. And this is where most of other plagiarism softwares will definitely bow for Turnitin, because other plagiarism software like Grammarly abuse cannot do that. It cannot tell you where it has been plagiarized. Turnitin can show you where you got that information from, right? Okay, so we'll talk about Turnitin a little. Turnitin has a database of published papers, a database of student assignments, a database of textbooks, a database of whatever you can think of that is online. Yes, that is why Turnitin is very robust. It has almost everything that is online is essentially in Turnitin database, right? So when you upload a paper on Turnitin, it compares what you have or what you have done or what you have presented with what it has in its database, right? And it kind of generates an originality report, and we'll see how that originality report looks like, right? And in the originality report, there is what is called similarity index, right? The similarity index tells us, or tells you, or tells your lecturer or your institution how much of what you are submitting to them is similar to what other students have done, or to what other scientific articles have published, right? Okay, so let's look at how to run a Turnitin scan. It's really easy. Just a sec, I have to check our chat box. Okay, how can we get access to Turnitin? I would prefer we talk about this at the end, or you can just message me. You'd see my contact at the end of the presentation. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to mute, but I'm muting one by one because I don't know how to mute everybody. Okay, I've seen it. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. I have muted everybody. Now, this is how the Turnitin, this is how the Turnitin web, is it web app, how do you call it? Web-based software. This is how it looks like. So when you say turnitin.com, this is essentially where it takes you to. This is the landing page or the home page. And this is just by the way. We have all heard of ChatGPT and how much should we say confusion? No, it's not confusion. How much it has aroused the interest of researchers around the globe. Turnitin is designing an initiative that will detect papers that have been written by ChatGPT. So you can see that on top of their homepage, right? They are doing that, and I think I really trust them because I think it's something that they can do. Because I know we have other developers that have developed something to monitor ChatGPT articles, but I can be sure that Turnitin would bring something that is really, really robust. So this is after you've gotten your Turnitin account and you've set it up, all good. You click on login. Look at it, you click on login. And then you input your email and your password. I'll show you where you can reset your password and whatever you want to do with your account. So when you log in, this is how your class homepage looks like. Now, Turnitin works with institutions. So if you're having a Turnitin account, it means that you are passing through an institution to get that account, right? I just blurred the name of the institution here. You can see I was enrolled into institutions. One is currently expired. You can see the status. So I essentially use just this first one. I blurred the name and the class ID, but you can see the name of the institution that you are enrolled in up here, right? So you can have your own Turnitin account, but you are enrolled through an institution, because that's essentially how Turnitin works. It's not like other softwares that you just do it as an independent researcher. You cannot really have a Turnitin platform on your own. Yes, you have your account. If you look up here, you can see Fortunate Young. That shows that this account belongs to me, and no other person can access my account or can see what I'm submitting. But I am enrolled through a school, right? Great. So if you come to user, you can edit your password or details or your name, whatever you want to edit, right? So you click on research. If you want to run a scan, you click on research. And when you click on research, this will come out. This is where you submit the paper. GPT-0 has been developed to check for plagiarized materials from AI. Awesome. Oh, somebody says Turnitin now runs in the account. I never knew about that. Thank you. Okay, I don't know. I've never tried GPT-0, but I hope it is robust. Now, you first click on submit. you click on submit and you proceed, assuming you are clicked on submit, will proceed. But then if you have previously uploaded an article, it will change from submit to resubmit. I have not uploaded an article to this assignment list yet, to this list, this particular list. So I should be using my pointer. Okay, I didn't have to do that. Excuse me. Okay, so if you've uploaded an article already or work, it will show resubmit to show that something has been uploaded already. And by the side, it will show you the similarity score, but this is not enough because you cannot get the originality report from here. You have to download the originality report, and we are going to see how we'll do that, right? So this is just telling you that after 3 submissions, you need to wait 24 hours before doing another submission. This thing is not only for this assignment list, is not only for it depends on the institution you're enrolled in. It could be about 10 or 12 before, something like that. It could be many. I don't usually count, but it's more than 4, right? So you can do numerous scanning in a year, and it's actually very quick, very fast to do. Now, when you click resubmit or submit, it takes you to this page. Your name will automatically fill. Then this uploading is now great because I have uploaded an article. This is the name of the article, 0 bears, whatever. So if it was not great, it would have been blue on great. So you click upload, and then you upload the article you want to upload, right? And then you click uploading. Once you click uploading, it takes you to this page, right? It shows you the article, the details of the article. The author is Fortune, title, submission title, the name of the article, the file name, size, and all these things, right? And then this is this box here should show you the article. I blurred it because I didn't want you to see what I was scanning. So this is the article you're scanning or you're doing a Turnitin report for should show you. And you click confirm. Okay. Then return to assignment list. It takes sometimes immediately. I mean, sometimes when you click return to assignment list, this is where you come back to. Sometimes you can see the report immediately. It will just show a similarity score by the site if it has completed the scan. But if it has not completed the scan, you see processing, right? Now, if it has completed the scan and has given you a similarity score, you click on view to see the originality reports. I use Turnitin similarity. Okay. Now, when you click on view, it takes you to this place. Again, I blurred the contents of the article. And you click on this arrow, you download the article, right? Now, let's look at Turnitin color codes. What does blue mean? What does green mean? What does red mean? I'm not sure what color is this. I don't know if you can see this. It's somehow between red and yellow. I'm not sure. I don't know if it has an exact name. So this one you see 71%. If you know the name of this color, you can help me with it. But 0% means amber. Somebody says it's orange. I think it's orange. It's true. It's orange. It's orange.
Amber is warning sign. It's warning.
Pink. I know that people have different color perception. What may appear orange might appear pink to some other person. Thank you. But I'll go with orange because I think it's orange. 0% means no plagiarism at all. Perfect, right? And it is only once in my entire, let's say, lifetime I've gotten this kind of reports. Yes, because it's actually very rare. If you're writing a scientific article, very rare for a plagiarism level to fall down to 0%. It's rare. So green is acceptable. We have 6%, 16%. Know that Journals and institutions have benchmark. Some journals are like, look, we don't want it to be more than 10%. Some we don't want it to be more than 20, right? And then some we don't want it to be more than 25. To be more than 25. So it all depends on what is the acceptable benchmark in your institution or the journal, and you have to adjust to fit that. So I might write an article and it's 23%, and I submit, it's published, it's accepted, but you write 23% and it's rejected. It all depends on institution, right? Or journals. So imagine having a plagiarism level of, somebody is not seeing the screen. Sorry about that. I think it's your network. Oh, sorry, is there any other person that cannot see the screen? Or can you see my screen? Let me ask that way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
great.
yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
No.
Yes, we can.
I think it's your network. So imagine getting a plagiarism level or a Turnitin score of 90%. If you are a lecturer, how would you react to this? And your student is submitting this assignment. Or if you're a journal editor, how would you react? I mean, it's outrageous. It essentially means that you've done nothing and you just lifted what you saw online and you're submitting. So it's outrageous. And this is punishable. It's actually punishable. So you would not want to have this kind of report. Even 71% is very bad. In fact, anything yellow is bad. Just aim for green. And even this green, just aim for below 20%, because it's not professional for you to have a Turnitin score of above 20%. Again, it depends on the type of article. There are some articles that, I mean, if you're writing the methods, you sort of have to kind of repeat what has been done, not exactly, but let me say, for example, student assignment, maybe student of a particular institution, they have been given a particular set of data to work with, right? And if they are doing analysis, their results section, there'll be so much similarity in their results section, and you'll see the concentration of Turnitin in those sections. So with that, sometimes the institution will have to kind of increase the benchmark to sometimes 40%. All depends. So 20% might not be bad. You just have to know what is obtainable. Yeah, 90 is pretty. I know I did that for somebody. Okay, this is how we interpret Turnitin. This is how Turnitin originality report looks like. Now, when you see originality report, is at the end of the document, right? Now, this is my article, or this is the article I did a Turnitin scan on, right? And Turnitin will essentially color those places that it feels that you did not, it is on your own, like saying like, this is on your own. That's what Turnitin is telling you. So you see blue, you see red, you see yellow, and so on and so forth. This is telling you that, boy, this doesn't belong to you, right? Sometimes Turnitin is not always, it's an AI, so sometimes it's not correct. Even something is your own, it will say it is not your own. Or sometimes it can underline something or color something like chapter 5. It's not supposed to color chapter 5, because when you write chapter 5, you're not plagiarizing. It's chapter 5 for you and it's chapter 5 for everybody. It can color something like methods, materials and methods. So you have to understand these things. It's not 100% correct. So you just have to treat it. I'm coming to that. You just have to treat it as an AI, right? Now, Tony, if you see this number, it is showing you that, look, this is where you got this thing from. And I'm telling you again, it is not 100% correct because it's an AI. It's simply comparing what it has seen. So it might be a coincidence. It might be coming from you, but coincidentally, it's somewhere else, right? So if you go to number 2, you would see that this is at the end of the document and this is within the document, right? So if you go to the end of the document and you see number 2 and you see that color code, it's telling you that this person got this information from Augustine article, the article that says health financing in sub-Saharan Africa from analytical frameworks to empirical evaluation. That is where she got the this particular sentence from, or most of this sentence. Remember, we talked about mosaic plagiarism. So you're like paraphrasing parts and you're not paraphrasing others. Now you can see this is number one. It's showing that she got the information from www.sclit.net, and 8% of this entire article was gotten from this source. It is an internet source. 6% was gotten from this publication, right? So 2%, look at up here, it says 2% was gotten from student papers. So all these things are things that you can just explore. But when you now see, this is where Turnitin beats many plagiarism software, because it underlines or colors those aspects that it thinks you're plagiarizing. So what you essentially have to do is just paraphrase this section selectively. You don't paraphrase the entire article. That's why, this is another reason why I need a Turnitin account. Because, for example, they said you have plagiarized and you see it's 50%, like Grammarly can give a report and say 50%, but it does not show you where you are plagiarizing. So Turnitin, so do you go ahead to, paraphrase everything? Turnitin will like tell you, look, this is where you're plagiarizing. This sentence, this paragraph is not that bad, but this one is bad. So you know where exactly to do what? Paraphrase. Okay. Now there's something interesting I want to share. Turnitin, when we say Turnitin is a plagiarism software, what are the components of plagiarism? Not paraphrasing and not citing. Turnitin, as well as every other AI softwares, they just check your ability to paraphrase. They cannot detect whether or not you have cited a source or whether or not the citation is from, well, Turnitin can do that to a level. They cannot tell you if the citation is from this source or is not from this source. So citation is more of a manual detection. Is the reviewer, is a supervisor, or is a journal editor that would see that you've not cited this article and this article needs to be cited. Turnitin does not know, or we have not reached that level, or not that I know of. It doesn't know that this thing should be cited, and it will not flag it. It will not say, you're supposed to have cited this. It cannot do that. Turnitin only says you're supposed to have paraphrased this. So that's something that we have to know. Thank you very much for the feedback. All right, how to paraphrase? What are the steps to take? Paraphrase a document. First is you read a sentence, try to understand it. You point the main idea. To every statement, definitely there is a main idea. So when I say, I have to use my example again. Okay, let me use some other thing. If I say willingness to get vaccinated for COVID does not always translate to actual vaccination, because there are other barriers to vaccination. That is a statement. That statement has main ideas. You can say it's vaccination, you can say it's willingness, and you can say it's actually getting vaccinated. You can say barriers. These are the main ideas. So you have to point or underline the main ideas. Thank you. You read again, you reread. I often suggest, may not sound like a very popular or professional idea, but I often suggest that if you want to understand something very well, or as a proof that you understand it, or if you want it to make sense, you have to interpret it to your local language. For example, if I am an Ibibio, which I am, and I read something in English, if I cannot you to not distract us. Mass gatherings are possible hotspots for COVID-19 spread, right? So I've just, I have shared something in the chat box. If you can, just try to translate in your local language. So if you translate an idea, and if you specify which language is that, if you translate an idea to your local language, you will now ask yourself or tell yourself, what other way can I express this? That is a very effective tip for paraphrasing. You may not need to crack your head too much. Just translate to your local dialect and ask yourself, what other way can I express this thing that I am saying in my local language? Okay, so you now paraphrase, right? You check. You have to check if, sorry, I said it will not distract us, but let me read what somebody's asking me a question. Yeah, sure. Slides will be made available. You have to check if what you have currently, is what should be. I mean, is it still conveying the same message? Because you have to be careful not to distort the original meaning of the statement, right? You have to be careful not to distort the original idea. If you're distorting the original idea, then you're saying something else exactly, something else entirely, and you're still committing plagiarism, right? So after paraphrasing, we'll look at that. No, okay. To paraphrase, you can change the sentence structure and you can change the wordings, right? That's essentially how you paraphrase, change the sentence structure. I think we should try something. Can somebody help me paraphrase this? What I posted earlier. Mass gatherings are possible hotspot for COVID-19 spread. So I can show us something, please. Share it again. Great. COVID-19 spreads very fast in congested areas. Awesome. So you see, he has changed the wordings. Instead of mass gatherings, he's using congested area, right? So that is one. He has also introduced another word, very fast, which in this context makes sense because we are saying possible hotspots, and for something to spread very fast in a particular place, it means that thing is a possible hotspot. So it's really a test of understanding the statement and being able to teach that and being able to teach a 6-year-old or a primary 6 or primary 4 students. Okay, we have something from Igbo. In overcrowded meetings, the spread of COVID-19 is faster. So that is it. Just change the sentence structure. It gets more complicated than this. This is a very simple sentence. Sometimes the sentence is complicated. It has commas, it has semicolons. So you have to sort of restructure what was at the end, you bring it to the beginning, but it has to make sense. It doesn't mean because you're paraphrasing and it's very difficult to read. Your journal reviewers will flag that and they'll tell you that it's very difficult to read. So you have to be careful so that even when you're paraphrasing, it is readable. You reference, very important. After paraphrasing, you have to cite, right? And that is it. There are AI tools for paraphrasing. I'm pretty sure that many of us know this already. We have Quillbot, we have Paraphrase. There are tons of others, but I essentially use Quillbot. And you know, Quillbot is an AI, so even when you are paraphrasing, you have to be careful, otherwise it can change the original meaning of the statement, right? Quillbot is also, it has a free version, it has speed. I am not affiliated to Quillbot, but I can assist you in getting your account. It's not free if you want a premium account, but you can do very well with a free account, and we are going to see that very soon. So can somebody just dial quillbot.com? Then mass gatherings are possible hotspot. The statement I posted earlier, can you run it on Quillbot if you have used Quillbot before? While I'm trying to share my screen. So because we still have time, let me share Quillbot. Can you see my Quillbot screen, please? Please, can you see my Quillbot screen? Awesome. I think this is what.
Yes.
Okay, great.
We can see that.
Okay, great. So you just type what you want here. You can just copy from your document and paste, right? Yeah. So I think you have to log in. You can see I've logged in here. But I know that you can use it without logging in, but there is slides, there is a little, there are slight restrictions if you're using it without logging in, right? It's essentially in the number of words. So Quiboard has other features, but it has grammar check, plagiarism check, and so on and so forth. I only use it for paraphrasing. So you click on paraphrase, and it will give you something different. Large gatherings could be hotspot for the spread of COVID-19. And this is what Qbot is giving me. Now, if you ask me, I am perfect with it. I don't even need to do anything. I can just copy it from here. You see where it says copy full text, and I'll replace it where it's supposed to be. You can also download it. Now, you can manipulate a lot of things. It gives you opportunity to select synonyms. You click large, see larger groups, public crowd, big crowds, awesome. Could be, you can take whatever you want. You can take whatever you want. You can even rephrase. You don't like this output, you can click rephrase and it will give you something else. So it's, for me, it's one of the best paraphrasing tool, if not the best. So you can explore it later. So the sources consulted. I am just going to share my social media handles right now. In case you want us to connect, awesome. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and very much on LinkedIn. So I'm going to share it in the chat box so that you can. So I'm just trying to. All right. Somebody says, isn't the use of paraphrasing tools considered unethical? Well, it depends. I would say it's individual opinion, because when you're paraphrasing, you're not just leaving it as it is. It still needs manual input, right? So even when this is a very simple statement, and I'm telling you, I have seen Shege with Qbot, right? There are times you paraphrase something, and you know that, for example, in medicine, there are medical jargons. In public health, there are public health terminologies. A pandemic is a pandemic, and you cannot change that. If you say epidemic, you're saying something different. If you say, it happens in other fields. So it needs manual input. It needs you to still, be very much involved. If you're going to just do copy and paste, you will shoot yourself in the leg, because personally, I would know that you use an AI tool to paraphrase. So because it's an AI, it doesn't really know the medical jargons to an extent, and it might not really be perfect in paraphrasing. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going through the chat box because Asha. Okay, yes, I'm also on the national. Okay, WhatsApp. Yeah, I'm gonna share it. I'm in the national groups, and I'm one of the admins. So definitely you can chat me up. So this is time for questions. Please, I'll be taking questions now while I'm trying to drop my WhatsApp number. I've dropped my WhatsApp number. Yes. There are times a paraphrasing tool can, that's very correct. Please, it's time for questions, and thank you very much for your time and your patience.
Thank you, Fortune. That was a very informative presentation. I think we have questions already.
Yeah, agree. Aha, I'll take this question. Somebody's raising hand. I don't know which to take first, whether it's a question in the chat box. Please just help me in case I don't want to miss any question. Just help me in case I miss a question. But let me start with this. Sometimes you do all you think is possible, but still you're told that your work has a high level of similarity. What else can you do? 100% agree with you. I have experienced this many times. I mean, many students will always bring this kind of issue. And that is true because most of the institutions use Turnitin. And I told you, sometimes Turnitin can be funny. And it's to underline, for example, if you're giving a student assignment and all of you are given the same data, definitely there's some level of similarity. Or if you're doing a particular work that is common, let's say prevalence of schistosomiasis, there are certain things that will definitely be in Turnitin database. So in this case, it's very difficult. We'll have to paraphrase. And if you're trying to paraphrase, the AI tool is not giving you something good enough. I mean, what you have to do is you have to come in, try and use your thinking and try to reduce the plagiarism. I don't know if I've answered that, but the answer is simple. You need to work on it again. Combine AI tool and combine your thinking to use Turnitin, compare and contrast, keep trying, keep reducing, but still makes sense. That's what I'm saying. You keep trying, you keep reducing, but still makes sense. Because if you try and you reduce and you're not making sense, you've lost it. Right? So you just keep trying and try reducing. So I don't know if there's any other question. Okafo, you can go ahead, please.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My question is, it's in form of question and request. I teach in an institution that at a point we had the Turnitin software, and that made our work so much easy. But because the software was not renewed for some time now, in fact, for over a year, we've been on our own. We either go online, search for a plagiarism software to use. So, but I know, just as you said, Turnitin has been a wonderful software for plagiarism tests and similarity tests. So I want to ask, is there a way individuals or you can be of help for us to have access to Turnitin work?
Yeah, thank you very much. To answer that question, one of the reasons why I don't use African institutions or my institution, let me just put it my institution, is because it's not reliable. I have heard my lecturers complain many times that they cannot run a scan because they are locked out or it's not work and all of those kind of things. So essentially, I personally use foreign institutions because I think that they are more reliable and you don't get to experience so many issues. Yeah, it's not perfect. Even for foreign institutions, sometimes you get to experience one or two issues. But if you compare it to our institutions, yeah, from experience, I think they are better off. For example, the institutions I'm currently enrolled in now, I have not had any single issue, or one time I tried to run a scan and it's not running or it's not logging me in. I have not had that issue for, if not a year, for so many months, if not more than a year. So, but at some point, there are some institutions early on, I'll be having this kind of issues. So what I suggest is that you look for somebody that has an account, somebody that is enrolled probably in another institution, or yeah, somebody that is enrolled in another institution. Thank you. Olayinka Yusuf. Please just let me know if I have answered your question. You can confirm in the chat box. Olayinka, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening. I want to sincerely thank you for the presentation. I hope I'm being heard.
Very, very well.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just curious, and I think I should ask this. I observed you mentioning AI tools in reference to maybe the reference managers of Zotero and some other ones like that, and also Turnitin too. And well, that's why I said I'm just curious. I've known Zotero for about a decade now, and then some other reference management tools like that. And even Turnitin too, for maybe up to 6 years or more. But I want to say this will be the first time hearing them being referred to as AI tool per se. I try to look at what AI is, and I can really see that, yes, it is some sort of artificial intelligence happening behind the scene. But I'm just wondering, I've never had them be referred to as such before. So I
Oh,
hope you get me.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they are AI tools. Anything that is non-human, sort of computerized, that is making your work easier and faster is AI. It's artificial intelligence. So mainly all these guys are AI tools. And I just want to clarify, Turnitin is not AI tool for referencing. It's AI tool for plagiarism detection. So you can see that's why I came back here, because I heard you saying that. I came back here. I did not include it as AI tool for referencing, but I included it under software used for plagiarism. Yes, please. Okay, can we get from Ujunwa? Please confirm in the chat box if your question has been answered. Ujunwa Dike, please.
So,
I cannot hear him. I don't know if it's my network or his network.
can anyone hear me? Hello.
The line is breaking.
Yes, please. This line is breaking.
Okay, so
okay, let me just answer Augustine Young, because I was scrolling through the chat box. She's asking, sorry, I'm assuming it's she, but if it's not she, please forgive me. The person is asking, what is indiscriminate quotation and how can that be handled? You know, I told us that as a scientific writer, sorry, I'm saying scientific writer. I know there are people in arts and humanities that are here because I'm always speaking from a perspective of a scientist. As a good academic writer, you should not you should not put your words in quote. I don't know if I've ever quoted any statement before in an article, because it should not be there. Like I said, quotation should only stand where the power of that statement is in the statement. But whatever be the case, you have to quote. You have to paraphrase and cite. So indiscriminate quotation is when you are quoting too much, more than you are expected to. Thank you very much, Augusta. Please confirm in the chat box if the question has been answered. Mrs. Saliu, please go ahead. Salisu, apologies.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Fortune. I must commend your PowerPoint. It's really captivating. You know, sometimes when you attend the presentation like this, the PowerPoint enough can put one off and you go to sleep.
Thank you very much.
Everybody, you know, I was always watching. I was looking at, what will come next. I like this. You know,
thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I must also commend the fact that you're a very calm presenter. You know, you're very calm and you should keep it up. I like
awesome.
that.
Thank you.
Combination. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
very
my
much
question
appreciate
is,
it.
my question is, sometimes when you use Turnitin, like you put us through this night, you know, maybe the first time you uploaded the manuscript, you have 22%. And then after all the corrections, you know, paraphrasing and all, you try to upload it again. Sometimes the percentage seems to go higher because you've submitted earlier. I wanted to just clarify that if that is true or not. I heard from colleagues that because one has used it, has uploaded it before the percentage can increase, thus it's advisable to just use this just once. I don't know.
No.
So what is your take on that?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I mentioned that what Turnitin does is to compare what you've uploaded with articles in its database. When you upload an article on Turnitin for plagiarism, it is not going to the database. So Turnitin cannot compare an article you've uploaded already with another article that you upload later. It will only compare if that article makes it through to publication. I don't know if you get. So it is not correct. Why the plagiarism actually goes up is out of coincidence, and I've experienced that a couple of times. I have been punished by that. Let me put it that way. Sometimes taken time, there is a particular work, and the person told me it should not be more than 30%. And I've struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled. 31%. Okay, I've seen the Turnitin scan 31%. I'm like, okay, it's just 1%. And when I went back to reduce, going back to scan, it was 32, 33. I was like, oh, are you taking me forward? You're taking me backward. So those kind of things happen, and it's actually by coincidence. You just have to just use the scanner and just try to reduce it again. It will definitely get tired of you. It's an AI, so I mean, if you keep adjusting, you would get it right. I hope I have answered the question. Please confirm in the chat box. Somebody said how to use EndNote and Zotero and the rest. I have a video on how to use Zotero. I can share that later, but fine and good. If you want another session for that, fine, I'm available. Then somebody said Turnitin does not color references section. If a Turnitin, yeah, I have seen a scan before, and it was calling references section. It's not accepted. It is for my account. It does not color references section. It does not do anything in the references section. If you submit an article that has references, it doesn't touch the references section. I could show you if I had known a question like this would come up. But if you're using a Turnitin account that colors the references section, don't worry yourself. Just be sure that the main section of that article is in good condition. So far, the main article is in good condition. Nobody will question or penalize you for the references section. Thank you. Please confirm if that question has been answered. When scanning articles, should we exclude references? No, I think I just answered your question, DK. Yeah, somebody else asked the same question, and that is why I was answering. Raise hands. Juliet Alabra, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fortune. I love your style of
Thank you for the feedback.
Okay, my question is the chat GPT. For example, when you ask GPT to give you an idea or information, most of the time, they don't reference the work. So if you have gotten this idea and you paraphrase, so how do you now generate the reference, especially the in-text citation?
I am very sorry. I did not. Yeah, I was struggling to hear you. I think your background is noisy.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I said thank you for your teaching. When you are at GPT, most of the time, for example, to get an idea or information, and at the end, you've gotten your information, you paraphrase. Most time, ChatGPT don't reference the work. So how do you generate reference? So that's your write-up, especially citation and the end of your reference list. How do you?
Okay. Yeah, I have not tried this particular thing I want to tell you before, but I attended a webinar and somebody or people were saying it, that if you ask ChatGPT to generate the reference for what it said, it will. If there is anybody here that have done that, please confirm and let us know if I am correct. For example,
yes, you are correct. You are correct.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay, great. So if you ask it to generate references for you, you can. It can do that.
Okay. The reference I gave, I tried to put it in the reference generator to check on citing it in an Harvard references style, but I could not really get the reference to that reference that ChatGPT gave. So it was like a strange reference. I don't
Okay,
know. Maybe I
okay,
don't know how to.
okay. I am still very new to this ChatGPT. Can somebody
So
assist
sorry, can
us?
I
What
say something,
kind
sir?
of? Okay, great. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for this. I had cost to use ChatGPT to get some materials. I requested for citations, no, for references, which it did. But later I read somewhere that if you request ChatGPT for references, it will give references that are not available. So I was really curious, how would that be? So I had to go and revisit the work that I had done. I had not done anything with it. I just used to generate some ideas. Then I now started to look for those references one after the other. I've not been able to do much, but for the first one I checked, I looked and looked and looked. I could not find it. But for the second one, it was worse. For the second one too, it was really difficult getting it, but I eventually got it. So for the fact that I got the second one, after much searching through Google Scholar and some other web bases, so I could not conclude within me whether it is really unavailable literature ChatGPT is given, because I got one, I didn't get the other. But I had hoped that I would still make further search. And what I could learn from that is that if ChatGPT gives me an idea, and I request for reference that's given it to me, I must double cross those references to ensure that they are available before I can make do with them. Otherwise, I won't go with them.
Yeah. So that second one that you got, how did you
Yes.
generate it? Or how did you get it?
Okay. Yeah. What I meant by that is that I put some things in ChatGPT. It gave me some ideas, and I told him that, okay, I want you to put references to this. So ChatGPT included the references. It's a matter of knowing how to talk to the computer. It has given an idea. I told the idea you're going to give to me, put the citation and put the references. So what I'm saying is that the citation was there, the reference was there. But from what I got elsewhere, they deduced that the references would not be the one that would be existing. And that was what I told you, that I went to go and search. So it is a complete reference that ChatGPT gave to me that I went out to go and search on the web, Google Scholar, maybe Science Direct and some other database like that I got one, I didn't get the other one. Do you get?
Can I add?
Yes.
Hello?
I think
Yeah.
because
Hello?
I tried it. ChatGPT gave me in-text citation. It gave me the reference list, but I tried to look for that reference to know if it's a genuine reference, but I could not really get, because I copied that reference that ChatGPT gave at the reference link, and I put it in a reference generator, because my school, I'm using Harvard referencing style, but it did not give me anything related to it. So I was kind of confused.
Hello? Can I?
Sorry, just a minute. Sorry, just a minute. The one I got, I did what you mentioned, but that didn't work. So I went for that journal itself, maybe research journal, for instance, as the name. I went for the name of the journal. I went to the volume. I kept checking and checking till I got it. I didn't just put the entire references in the chat, because that was not helping me. So I went for the particular journal. I searched the archive till I got it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your contributions are really, really appreciated. I don't know, but to summarize what he's saying that when ChatGPT gives you an information and you ask it for the citation, there is how you can play around with it, and the more you play around, the more you get accurate. And he has also said that you can just search for that references in case it's not correct, because sometimes it might generate an incorrect references or incomplete references. So you have to check for the correct references in your databases and the rest. So I think we should just take 2 questions before we end the session. Thank you. Olayinka Yusuf, thank you. You can go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I'm the one that I've just been contributing a while ago now.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, I think now the hand is raised. I would just pick one more question. The people asking for Mendeley, Zotero, we can do that later. Like I said, I have a video already on Zotero, and I can share that. I don't know if there is another question. I have posted my WhatsApp number. Please, I'll take one more question before we go. Thank you. If you asked before and I have not answered, please post it again so that we can engage. recordings to be made available, but I don't know if we would share to emails, we would share it on the group or on our social media platforms, please. I'm talking about also in Nigeria, would share it on our social media platforms. Please, is there any question? We'll take one more before we go. All right, just know that you can always reach out to me on WhatsApp, email, whenever, wherever, on LinkedIn, if you need assistance on anything. And if you need assistance in getting your own Turnitin software or Quillbot, but they are not free. That is what I'm emphasizing. They are not free, please. So, okay, somebody needs to be added to the social media platform. Please just message me, or you message Dr. Funmi. She's also an admin. She will add you. I'm sorry, I should have shared link to our media platforms. I didn't really prepare that. But if you can just search Author National Research Hub Nigeria, we have a very good social media presence. You can Author National Research Hub Nigeria. We have a good online presence, and you can easily join any of our platforms. You can also message Dr. Funmi, because we have a WhatsApp community platform, and it's very important you join, because most of our opportunities we post it there. Joining, and thank you all for it. Dr. Wayme and Dr. Ngozi, they are the amazing people we have been. Thank you, Author-Ed UK, for the platform that you provide in the first place. Yes, Dr. Funmi has posted the call for membership. If you want to be a member, you can fill the form. And thank you to all our participants that are joining from how can we do that? Now for all our participants, we will call